everybody. I am Tommy, and you were on the lifeboat. And look what I found. Hey, babe.
Hey, honey bunny.
Amazing.
What?
I said, you look amazing.
I like that we both have black on.
I know. It almost looks like we planned it.
I'd like to get a hold of you.
You're just saying that.
Oh, no.
Because you really want to. You want to say hi to everybody, babe?
Sure.
For those who don't know, this is my better half. This is Reese, Relatable Reese.
Janelle was fantastic. Debbie Love and Life's daughter was in town. Her name was Janelle. She posted a picture of her in my Facebook group. That girl is stunning. Debbie, welcome. And I'm so honored I got to meet Janelle. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jeannie. I'm glad you're here. I missed that at the very end. I wanted to say thank you again. You are unbelievable and so helpful to Huxley. Thank you. Hey, Meesal. Babe, I'm saying hi to people. Let me do my thing. Lachelle, Barbara Waite, Jody Edwards. Hey, Neptunes, Tennessee Girl, Cindy Cat Lover's back. Hey, Heather, Jax, Panda, Buffy, Roberta. Hey, Streamer, Natalie, Aspire to Inspire, Lacey Silver. There's Debbie Zito. Walking on Sunshine, Peppermint Patty. I love you over on my channel. Hey, Sassy Noof. Well, look at that.
The Johnny Scoville.
It's the Johnny Scoville and brother-in-law. Hey, Renee B. Lilac Lime. Deborah Carey. Hey there. Lisa Smith's here. Jeannie, I mean it, girl. It means the world to me. Hey, I Rule. Let's see. Ruby made it. There's Alicia. I love Alicia. Hey, DS Kitty Diane. Hey, Amy Edge. I'm noticing, did some of you come over because I said I was going to be here? Because I don't feel like you guys are always here. And I love that about it. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Joan Marie. I feel like I've missed you, Joan Marie.
That or a lot of people dig Richard Ramirez.
And Mods, thank you for being here. No, surely it's me. Just kidding, guys. I don't have very high self-esteem to say things like that. I have no confidence in myself. Hey, Millie. Hey, Charity. It has been a while. Hey, Cindy G. Trace made it. There's Chrissy Twig. There's Vince. Guys, I don't usually come over to the boat in person. And hey, Vicky, thank you. Tommy and I were talking, hey, Wine, a little bit on the phone the other day. P. Taylor. And he was telling me about this Ramirez character, and I'd never heard of him. Hey, Punisher. Tommy was like, hey, Sherry Hicks, you've never heard of the Night Stalker? And I said, no. But he told me, I don't know, you gave me a summary in about 10 minutes time, and it scared the ever living. But there was so much to know. And you said you were going to do a show, and I said, hey, and I invited myself on, and true to my ways, I kind of,
I wasn't 100% you were coming. You actually scared the poop out of me. I was off doing my thing, and I came and sat down, and there she was on the screen. In fact, I think I went, hey, how you doing?
Babe, you asked me to be here after my hair appointment today, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And then I announced it on my channel, and it's weird that you still don't remember that.
Renee B., good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Lacey Silver, you are in my prayers. I'm glad you're here. Buffy says, I do not dig Richard Ramirez. I am here for Gertie. Well, let's start this thing off, Pumpkin.
But real quick, I just put my channel in the chat. And for those of you that are not subscribed, which most of you are, because I see all the names or recognize all my family over here. But those of you that are not, please give me a chance and come over and subscribe.
In fact, if you don't do it right now, I'm just not going to say anything for the remainder.
We're both going to leave.
I can just go quiet.
We're out of here.
People don't like dead air. Check this out. We're professionals. Ready?
Yep. You know why I can do it? It's from Scientology doing TRs. Start. Yeah. You just sit there and
but some of the most famous people that can't stand dead air more than anyone on earth happen to be ex-Scientologists.
Thank you, Deborah. Hey, Anna Banana. Yeah, I absolutely can sit in silence on live TV. Okay, why don't you sit up here then?
Okay, so this is how we're going to fire this off. Since you have no idea who Richard Ramirez is,
hey, Heather.
I'm going to give a breakdown on him here in a second. But let's start off with giving you an idea of what this handsome cuss looked like. This was the early days of the investigation. That would be Richard Ramirez.
What?
And as I said, he is a handsome guy. He's got, I believe they call him summer teeth. Some are there, some are missing, some are in his pocket. Not a good look. Yeah, that is Richard Ramirez. This is probably more as people remember him. always had kind of a sneer on his face. Truth be told, no homo, but he wasn't a bad looking guy. He had some very sharp, angular kind of features. Those are some of the victims right there. And you will notice that these victims vary in age dramatically. This was a very unusual serial killer. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I started with Ramirez, is because most serial killers follow a pattern of sorts.
That
Richard
was
Ramirez did not.
terrifying. And I like this idea, Wine.
Yes. No, this is absolutely a thing. This is like every Friday. No, this is going to be a thing. We're going to be going through a series.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Babe, I didn't know he looked like that.
Yeah.
I you know how you said that you were surprised when I was here when you hopped on? That made me jump out of my skin. Can I just say I watched a reel I shouldn't have last night, and it was about these creepy skinwalker things they're calling them that live near Memphis, and that's too close to me. So I packed most of my stuff up. I'm moving this evening. It looked just like him. They don't look human. He didn't look human. That was terrifying. Next time, give us a heads up, maybe.
Yeah, I rule. No, this is so all of the killing that happened in the Night Stalker case was all Richard Ramirez. He did have a relative that had gone to Vietnam and had showed him some photos of him basically torturing women when he was overseas. And he did this to Richard Ramirez when he was a very young child. He had a tough upbringing. It doesn't, in my opinion, get you off the hook for the kind of crimes that he committed. But we talk a lot about psychopathy and about how you're born with bad wiring. Then there are things that happen to you while you are young that kind of loads the gun, so to speak. Sorry, but I can see cat hair on the top of my hat.
Hey, Jeannie. Chrissy Twig, we're going to talk about it on my channel.
What are we talking about?
Skinwalkers.
Yeah. He used to get tons of love letters from women while in prison and married also. Yeah, he did get married in 1996. The woman eventually sort of walked away from him before he passed away. But as a young boy, his father was very, very abusive. And he used to sneak out of his house and go sleep in the cemetery in the town that he lived in El Paso, because he felt safe there. So he was off to a pretty tough start right from the word go. And unfortunately, this isn't going to work. And unfortunately, it didn't get better because he had he did have an uncle that was closer to him in age. Why, thank you very much. Look at that.
Hey, Debbie.
I love that. So we end up with a guy that is now being sort of groomed into violence. And he watches this guy kill his wife. He's there when it goes down. It happens at a young age. And his sister intervenes and says, I don't think it's safe for Richard to be in the environment that he's in. And I know it's very difficult for him to be around Dad. So she moves Richard Ramirez in. And this probably could have saved this guy's life. Instead, he finds out that her husband likes to go out late at night. And he starts to take Richard with him as a peeping Tom. Like, this guy's super into going out at night. Yeah. I mean, kid can't catch a break, right? But he likes to go out at night and see young women and ladies in various stages of undress. And the two of them will go out there and basically, rub one out to watching people in, when they're at their most vulnerable. And this probably helped train him to become the Night Stalker. He got good at going out and looking through windows without getting spotted in the process of doing it. Creepy, right? So this is
Do they still make those? Do they still have those kinds of people that go look through windows?
Yeah, sadly, the peeping Tom has not been discontinued as a model.
Dang, I walk around all the time.
You knocked that off.
I just can't believe anybody would want to see that. Most people would look like, literally, they'd go in my windows and they'd be like, wow, a fupa and a chalupa. You rarely see the two.
Knock that off. Never ends. Never ends. Now, here's one of the things that really sort of made this guy stick out like nobody else. He fancied himself a Satanist and was super, super into it. That is one of the police officers. That is Frank Salerno, and we'll be talking about him in a minute. But this is them out there looking at scenes that were left behind. If you look at this murder scene, the big arrow that is put there shows a pentagram on the wall. He really loved the evil that people gave him credit for. This is how most people remember him, with a pentagram in the middle of his hand with the number 666 written below it. He was for better or worse, whether you believe it or not, he was absolutely a Satanist. And I think it was probably more for show than anything else. This guy went out of his way to be evil, like really went out of his way to be an evil dude and reveled in it. Right? He raped women, raped a lot of them. He would go in, and if there was a husband and wife in there, he would do what he can. I agree. He would do what he could to eliminate the threat, right? And afterwards, he would then rape the woman, and he didn't like them staring at him. So in almost every case where a woman survived the rape, she would talk about how he would say, "Don't look at me. Stop looking at me. Don't look at me." And one woman in particular said, "I swear to God, don't hurt me. I won't look at you." And he made her swear to Satan. He said, "Don't you swear to God in front of me. Now swear to Satan." And she said, and I did, right? Obviously, in a moment of sheer terror, he made a woman that believed in God, swear on Satan that she wasn't going to stare at him. This was a really, really sick bastard. And he was a very difficult guy to hunt down. So I'm obsessed, says Debbie Zito, with Frank Salerno and Gilbert Carrillo. These are the two cops that hunted down the Night Stalker. And what makes this kind of fascinating is
are they alive? Are they still alive?
They are absolutely still alive. The bald gentleman right there will be Frank Salerno, and the larger guy there on the left of my screen is Gilbert Carrillo. He was a much younger guy than Frank Salerno was. But by the time this case started, Frank Salerno was already a legend. Most cops are going to go, I don't know why that happened. Most cops are going to go their entire life without ever having a case like this. Hunting down a serial killer is a very rare thing to happen to a cop. If it happens, you're never going to forget it, right? These are the cases that literally define your. I got you. Yeah, Trace Colby. I know who you're talking about. No, this is the Night Stalker, but Frank Salerno was the cop that worked the Hillside Strangler. He was the cop. He had already done one serial killer, and it was not a normal kind of case. It was a bizarre case. It was a case where there were two serial killers, right? They were cousins. And Frank Salerno was the one that put this together. He was absolutely like one of those cops that all other cops were in awe of. And his partner, who was a first-generation American, his family was from Mexico. He had joined the military at a young age, and when he got out of the military, he decided he wanted to marry his high school sweetheart, and he wanted to go get a degree, and he wanted to become a cop, and he did it. Right? Just went out there and below MJ. Did you type that?
No, just keep talking.
Well, I didn't, and I'm not exactly sure how that worked. Now you stop that, both of you. I will turn this boat around. You watch how fast I will. Yeah, see that? Johnny said he's seen it. This is one of those cases where Gilbert wanted to be a detective. And in all honesty, even by his own words, he wanted to be Frank Salerno. And Frank Salerno chose to bring this relatively rookie, relatively green or, rookie into the fold. And if you study this case, Gilbert probably was the one that put this together before anybody else. These are two legendary cops in the traditional sense of the word. And amazingly, Gil is still married to the same woman. Being a cop's wife is almost an impossible feat. And these guys were working around the clock. They were putting in 16-hour days trying to hunt him down. This went on for about 14 months. And the crazy thing about this is you find yourself as a police officer hoping that there's another crime. Not because you want to see somebody dead, but because every single time this dude committed a crime, Quibs,
I'm not doing anything.
keep it up.
I didn't say anything.
No, you're just encouraging bad behavior.
I am not.
It's what you do.
Discouraging.
Tell the truth. This is what really started. Yeah, this is what really started to change the case. Is when they started to believe that this was a serial killer, and the way that happened was because of these footprints. At almost every scene, Ramirez managed to leave behind a footprint like this, and they tracked it to find out that this was an aerobic 440 men's aerobic shoe from a company called Aviva. And it was a fairly new company at the time. And they did what cops do. They went and tracked down the company, which is in the Pacific Northwest, and went up there to find out that there was a very exhaustive list of where all of the shoes were shipped to. There was only one black pair shipped to California.
What decade? When was this?
So it started in 1984, right? The first killing started on April 10th, 1994. And this was a 9...
You said 84.
84.
Oh, yeah, you said 94. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The year you were born.
Yikes.
Yes.
This started the year I was born?
It did. It started the year you were born on April 10th. Mei Lang, she was 9 years old, beaten, raped, and stabbed in the basement of her San Francisco apartment building. A DNA link confirmed later, not initially part of the Night Stalker series. However, that was his entree. And so he started out by raping and killing a 9-year-old. One of the bizarre things about this guy was that there was no rhyme or reason at all to how this guy did what he did. I mean, if it wasn't for shoe prints, there's a casting of one. If it wasn't for shoe prints, they probably would not have been able to tie all of this together. Because as this is going on, this is painful. But do you see that beautiful young girl on the left? She was 6 years old at the time. That's her currently as an adult. Somehow she has managed to weather this because this is the most horrific thing. But he was abducting children and sexually assaulting them. And then dropping them off.
You told me about.
Oh, that is the girl that I told you.
Pretty. She's beautiful.
She was
now.
Yeah. And he goes through a window into her house, and she said he looked a little like one of her relatives. So she wasn't panicking at all. She just thought, she was really sleepy, and someone had come in to grab her, and there had to be a reason they were taking her out of there. He then made her get into a duffel bag, brought her into his house, where he sexually assaulted her many, many times over the course of hours and hours, and then put her back in the car, drove away, and dropped her off about 150 yards, 200 yards from a gas station, and said to the little girl, go in there, tell them to call 911 so that your parents can come out here and get you. Absolutely bizarre that as he's going out and committing these heinous murders, at the same time, he's fulfilling sexual fantasies by abducting children, both male and female, sexually assaulting them, and then letting the kids go. Now, not every kid survived. Obviously, his first murder was a 9-year-old. He also sodomized and killed a young boy and did it in front of his family. He was unpredictable to beat hell. The one thing that he did at every single one of these scenes was he, number one, left behind evidence like this. But number two, he was going into doors that were unlocked or windows that weren't shut. He was entering these people's homes when they were at their most vulnerable and then committing these crimes. Most of the murders took place with a pistol, a .22. Some of them took place with a .25 caliber. He also used a machete. He used a hammer. He would tie women up, tie them to the bed, sexually assault them. And in some cases, there was a woman that was about in her mid-60s, a grandmother that fought him off, that did not allow the rape to take place. He violently killed this woman, then removed her eyes, This was about as sick a bastard as you could get. And I think, people can argue this, but I think as far as him being a Satanist and all that, he reveled in the idea of being a serial killer. I think that the cases that had come before him had inspired this guy to, and he borrowed a little from a lot of serial killers, like the putting of the pentagram on the wall, or he carved in one Jack the Knife, right? Is what he had carved into the wall and then put a pentagram. He wrote stuff. He was stealing from the Manson murders, where they had written pigs and things in blood on the wall. He used lipstick. He also wrote on victims. But
was he a cannibal?
No, he did. There was no evidence that he ate anybody.
And what year was he caught versus what year they found out about him? I understand Slim Whiskers. Definitely, guys, if this is too upsetting, take care of your own mental wellness for sure.
How many victims, Punisher? Well, that's still kind of open to debate. He is not still alive. He is dead.
Thank you,
but that's open to debate because they believe that he probably did a lot more than he was caught for. By the end, it was 14 or 15 was the number, and then 11 sexual assaults.
And what year was it that he was caught?
1985.
What?
Yeah.
He only got away with this for a year?
14 months. The killing sprees, according to the police and according to historians, the killing sprees took place over a 14-month period of time.
No way. That's short, isn't it? I mean,
well, and here's the thing. If you listen to this, April 10th, 1984 is when it started. This is the girl I was talking about. June 28th, Jenny Vincow, 79, raped, stabbed repeatedly, throat slashed in Glasgow Park, L.A. March 17th, March 27th, May 14th, May 29th, May 30th. It was gaining speed, and this guy was just completely going sort of off the rails. June 27th, June 28th, July 2nd, July 5th, July 7th.
Whoa.
July 20th.
So like Neptune's just said he was binge killing. That's crazy. Renee B asked, J-Pop said, was he killed by the state? But I'm also curious, did he kill any sex workers?
No, he did not. That's another one of the things that made this so bizarre is that there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to how these people were targeted. He raped people that were in their 70s, and he raped people that were 9. That's really odd. There wasn't anything that they could sort of sink their teeth into, other than the fact that he entered homes that had unlocked doors or that had windows that he could get in. He was not targeting anybody specifically by what they looked like or by any race, not even by gender. He just was sort of a serial killer of opportunity, right? He didn't always rape the victims. Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't. He would rob them, but not always. It was a very bizarre, it was totally random. How can you profile that monster? He absolutely 100% got off on fear. And this, for lack of a better answer to that, there were a couple of ways that they caught him. This was one. How do you profile him? He wore a hat that said AC/DC on it for a couple of the first murders until he left it at the crime scene. But these were images that people had, given descriptions. And this guy, so this was out there. They had an idea of what the guy looked like. And this was really the big deal. This shoe was so rare, right, that they knew there was only one black pair that was ever sold in LA. Unfortunately, all they could do is get it to where the store that sold it. They couldn't get past that. So as much as it helped big time, it ended up sort of spinning out of control. You still have friends that don't lock their doors? Maybe have them watch this show. Because sadly, and I'm not blaming the victims, that's never what I'm doing. However, people that locked their doors didn't have to worry about the Night Stalker. People whose windows were locked didn't have to worry about the Night Stalker. And there were many different times where allegedly this cat either got into a house and then found out that there were people in there. Allegedly, he went into a party And he got inside and went, holy crap, there was a bunch of people there. And he hid in a closet for an hour and a half until the party thinned out enough that he could escape. And the crazy thing is, they were never able to say, yeah, it was at such and such an address or whatever. So there were people that grew old and probably passed away having no idea the Night Stalker spent an hour and a half in their closet, right? He broke into or tried to break into the house of a cop. And the cop got a gun and started walking through the house, and Ramirez took off. There was a lot of bizarre stuff in this case. There was a husband and wife who both got shot in the head and both survived. The woman got shot. The woman got shot right here, and the bullet went all the way through to the other side and lodged just under the skin. The husband took a shot here, and it just did not go in. I don't know whether this was bad ammunition or whatever it was. That was the first time he had used a 25 caliber. Most of the time he used a 22, which he was very successful with. The husband gets up after being shot in the head and tries to attack him. And Richard Ramirez runs like hell with a pistol in his hand out of the house. And this was a turning point in the case, because at that point, the cop, Frank Salerno, did an interview with the local paper and called the guy a coward. He said, it tells you a lot about who this guy is. And Ramirez was reading the papers. He was really into it. Once they gave him the name, the Night Stalker, he really was into it. He started telling his victims, some of whom survived, so they lived to tell the story. But, he would say, I am the Night Stalker. Like, he was into it. This guy reveled in evil like no one else ever has, and not before or not after. How did they catch him? Well, he broke from what he had been doing, and he committed a murder up in San Francisco. And one of the things that he stole up there was a necklace, and this necklace was unique. It got given to somebody else, and they finally had a witness of a guy that could say, this is who this is. His name is Rick. And by all accounts, the cops beat the piss out of this guy. We live in a very different world than we did in 1985.
How old was he?
How old was Ramirez?
Yeah.
I want to say late 20s at that time.
Oh, he was young. Okay.
Yeah, he was not an old guy. There were so many ways they could have caught him earlier and saved a bunch of people's lives, but he was killing in many different jurisdictions. So he could be 2 towns over or 3 towns over. They had a car that they wanted to search, and they get into a dick swinging pissing contest between a couple of different police departments. And that car sat outside until all of the forensic evidence on that car was basically wasted. He had been pulled over in this car, which he had stolen. He was a big-time car thief. He got pulled over in this car, and it was right after somebody had just reported a Night Stalker incident. The cop, by the time he figures this out, Ramirez has drawn a pentagram in the dust on the hood of the car and run, hauled ass on foot and got away. That car, had it been searched, there was a business card in there to a dental office. His grill, as you saw the picture, this guy's grill was really messed up, really, really messed up. So he had an appointment to go in, I think on my birthday, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
It was on your birthday.
So he was supposed to go back in on July 3rd to have work done on his teeth. And because of how messed up his teeth were, he was going back in. There was no two ways about it. They had cops that were staked out in the dental office. They pulled the cops. Instead, they put on a silent alarm in there and said to the dentist, when he comes back, hit the silent alarm. He came back. They hit the silent alarm. It didn't work.
No way.
And a bunch of people got killed after that. So they were this close for a long period of time. The thing that finally got him was he had left a partial thumbprint in one of the vehicles on the rearview mirror. You know, you adjust that thing. So that got adjusted. They were able to pull that print. Now they know it's Richard Ramirez. And Gilbert, the younger of the cops, right? So the rookie, the guy that's on the left here, he had a brainstorm. When they went up to San Francisco, things got really screwed up. And what I mean by that is they knew about these Aviva shoes, right? And what ends up happening is the mayor of San Francisco tells the entire world that The guy wears black Aviva shoes. Now, obviously, he's going to crap can them. He's not going to continue to wear the shoes if he knows the world has them. And this was something they did not want to get leaked out. In fact, it was Dianne Feinstein, who was she was the mayor of San Francisco at the time. But
like something the Tucson mayor would do.
It does sound like something that Nanos would do. But they leaked this information out to the public, but now they know who it is. And Gilbert says, I'm going to make a video. This is 1985, keep in mind. He shot a video and then mailed it out to every single one of these news stations. And the idea was, instead of having all this BS where one news station is doing this and another news station is doing that and misinformation, he said, this is the guy we're looking for. This is what he looks like, right? Blah, blah, blah. And they mail all this out. At the time, Ramirez has just done a bunch of hits. He's stealing all of this money. He's stealing jewelry. He's fencing this stuff. So he decides he's going to go party in Arizona. Now, keep in mind, this is 1985. And for those of us of a specific age, not like my considerably younger wife here, but she was 1 at the time. But in 1985, the cell phone thing was not a reality, right? So none of those people had the ability in Arizona to realize what was going on in California. So Ramirez is just down there doing the do. He gets on a Greyhound bus and comes back into town. He's on the front page of every newspaper in California. There's a picture of him. And he got off the bus and spotted cops inside. And according to his interview afterwards, he said they were dressed like bums, but they didn't smell like bums. Their hair looked good. Their skin looked good. Ramirez stunk. Believe it or not, this is one of his defining characteristics, is how bad this guy smelled. He smelled bad, like body odor. His grill was so messed up that he did not care about hygiene at all. All of the people described him as just smelling god awful, right? But he runs out of there, goes to a liquor store.
Sounds like our haters.
What's that?
Sounds like our haters. Kind of looks like him too.
I swear to you, I was wondering whether it was going to be you or somebody else that said that. G-Man, good to have you here. No ads. I'm not running any ads. Boy, if that means that I didn't set up that would suck. But anyway, what ends up happening is he sees his face on the newspaper in the liquor store, right? It's on the counter, and everybody in the liquor store knows that this is him. So he runs again. But everywhere he runs, he's running into more people that have seen that newspaper. They're all looking for the Night Stalker, and they all have zero sense of humor about it, right? With good reason. But he gets caught by an entire crew of neighbors that want this guy dead. And they start beating the ever-loving crap out of him. The cops had to show up to save Richard Ramirez's life, which, I don't know, had to be a very painful thing to do. But by the time we see Ramirez in the back of the car, his head is wrapped like a mummy. Like, they beat the piss out of him. He got hit with a lead pipe that one of the guys was carrying. And right as the cops were getting there, one of the guys said to a wife, and there was all these people standing around, "Keep him right here. I'm going to go get my gun and kill him." Like, he would have been dead if the cops had showed up just a little bit later. But instead, what we get is this guy really playing it up to the audience as much as possible, right? This is the Ramirez that we all got to see, right? Just proud as hell of being evil. He would brag and talk about Satan and how Satan was the guiding force in his life. It really became theater, right? And I mean really, really bad. How many guns around that time frame? A lot of, we still have always had way more, we've still had way more guns than people for a long period of time. He died of cancer. He's dead.
Snoopy.
Yeah.
That thing, that
Pentagon.
The Pentagon.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It is, so a pentagram has become a symbol that is synonymous with Satanism. And this guy liked to, by the time they were interviewing him and he had already been convicted, he became like a caricature of himself. They would go in there and say, how do you feel good about killing people? And everything he said, you could tell that he wrote down the night before. The nations kill, tens of thousands of people with the push of a button. but I go out there and do this. It was all theater. Like he loved the fact that women were writing to him. He loved the fact that that he was a serial killer. Like he reveled in this shit in a really big way, and he wanted to be treated like a normal inmate. This is a guy that said, I don't need protective custody. I want to be put on a yard. I want to go out and walk a yard with the fellas. And he had just hit what they call a special needs yard, right? An SNY, which is a check-in yard. It's a PC, protective custody. But they weren't even allowing him to go out with the fellas on a protective, on a PC yard because they knew someone was going to attack him. And Ramirez kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And finally, they allowed this guy to hit a yard. He didn't make it 14 minutes. He was jumped on within 14 minutes of hitting a yard in general population, which I think is probably an important point to make because people all the time say, well, they'll put him in PC and he'll be safe. You're not safe in PC. Even Ramirez in protective custody managed to get attacked within 14 minutes. Polly, yeah, you're right. Women did love this guy. They would show up at the trials and they would be, boobs up and this and that. Even when they brought him in the first time,
boobs up.
Yeah, boobs up, shoved together.
Except
yes.
Mine are all side.
Well, I'm a fan of the side boob.
I know you are. You like to look at it.
As they're driving this dude into the police station, right? There's a girl standing on top of a truck with her shirt up. This is a serial killer that, this isn't just the run of the mill.
Man. Yeah, this guy abused kids. That is so gross.
It's also unheard of.
Not
you have
really.
A serial killer that is taking victims and then releasing them, right? Nothing that this guy did fit any mold of what a serial killer is or what a serial killer was. And we've really not had anything before or since, right? That's anything like Ramirez. He really was very, very different. And I think it was all performance. This guy wanted to be the most evil prick on earth. So Hail Satan and all of the other stuff that he did was designed to shock the shit out of everybody on earth, right? He was, once they dubbed him the Night Stalker, right? I think that at that point, things really changed. There's never been anybody that was as into this kind of thing as he was. And again, he killed men, he killed women, he killed children, he raped the elderly, he raped the unbelievably young, and it didn't matter whether they were male or female. He would rape a young boy or he would rape a young girl. It didn't seem to be anything other than the desire to be evil.
Thank you. That was a very kind comment. That upsets me very much because it makes me think, there's so much evil and I get so grossed out. I talk about men a lot, but women can really gross me out. That's really gross behavior when someone does what he did to men, women, and children, and they're standing there, worshiping this man.
Yeah.
That's so gross. And I realize it's never going to end. It'll be here long after we're dead. There's always going to be evil, but it makes me think of I have a particular set of haters who are evil like that, like super, super racist, super disgusting, make fun of kids. Who knows what they do in their alone time, I'm guessing, but make fun of kids, make fun of women, men, all that kind of stuff. Super hateful, right, babe?
Yes.
And then you see in their comment section, which I know are a bunch of sock accounts probably created by them, but still there's women who are like, oh my God, I love you. And it's that's what I mean. It's the depths of evil, being super racist or hating children or hating on children and promoting that. And then there's people who are worshiping that. That is such a creepy human behavior, really rocks me. And that kind of thing is how do you support someone who raped kids? How can you have groupies who follow that kind of a thing?
Bunch of them. right? If it was 4 or 5 people, it would be horrific. Allegedly, there were hundreds and hundreds of letters. And, when I was doing deep dives on this, they would show you some of the letters, and half of them were pornographic, right? Half of them had pictures of girls showing their tits and, and their ass and doing all of these things. He did stay at the Cecil for a period of time. Polly, that definitely happened. But it's a bizarre phenomenon. It really is. And I mean, again, if we're being really honest, Renee B, a lot of times it isn't even by region. They don't want to have to fill out the paperwork when somebody gets killed. They do everything they can to take any inmate that is absolutely a threat. And I mean a threat of getting killed, and doing everything they can to keep those people as separated as much as possible. I have talked about the Memphis 3 in great detail. Whether or not I ever did a show on it, I don't remember. I think I probably have, but it's been a minute.
That's a great question.
Oh, good Lord, no. He was all about Satan until the very end. By this point in his life, they had already fixed his grill. He had fake teeth, right? But this is really what this guy looked like, right? This is a frightening looking guy, especially before they fixed his grill. By the way, if you've only got, if it goes to show that get that grill fixed, it does help.
FTG, fix that grill.
That's right.
I have a question about that face right there, that picture that you're showing. This is going to sound really kooky, but that doesn't look to me, guys. Am I the only mod, Roberta? I don't know. Oh, I'm not modding, though. Do I need to be?
The Johnny Scoville. Yeah. No, they said mods. I just said you were here.
Yeah, but is he modding?
Yes, he's modding.
Okay.
I didn't see any problem.
I don't know. I'm not seeing anything.
So that picture.
What? Yeah, about that picture, I have a question, and I know this is going to sound kind of kooky. To me, guys, looking at that, that does not look fully human. Like, he could be of some other something. Do you agree? I mean, he doesn't.
I don't think that sounds kooky. I think that there are people on planet Earth, unfortunately, that absolutely embody evil, that 100% are the embodiment of evil, especially for their time. And it's the perfect, this guy's the greatest illustration for my argument of how these guys end up being who they are. It is a 1, 2, 3 process. Number one, you're going to be born with bad wiring. Number two, there's going to be something that happens to you during your the formative years of your life that sort of load that gun, right? And then there's going to be something that sets you off.
Right.
And whatever it was, by all accounts, he saw this young girl and tricked her. She was looking for $1 that she had lost. And he said it was going to be down in the basement. And he took her down there and ritualistically, killed her. I think the Satan thing became a big thing in his life. Whether or not it was just for performance or whether or not he really believed it, he certainly espoused it. He talked about it incessantly, that Satan was his master, and he seemed to be quite proud of that.
But I'm talking about that specific face you just showed. I don't think it's this is just my own weirdo beliefs, but I don't believe that everybody on this planet's human. I don't. Right. I think there are definitely otherworldly creature-like people that are walking around disguised as people, but they're not really fully people.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Did he do anything with Aleister Crowley? Was he interested in Aleister Crowley?
Well, here's the thing. Kat loves the moon says, I get what you're saying, but a 5-pointed star is a symbol of harmony, representing the 5 elements. It's gross that something beautiful is deteriorated to a satanic symbol. We can thank Aleister Crowley for that, right? Crowley was really kind of big into pushing that. The swastika was another one of those symbols that, Adolf Hitler did not come up with the swastika. That had been around for literally millennia and was always considered a symbol that wasn't hateful. It had nothing to do with any of that. Unfortunately, people take these representations and kind of run with them. And in this day and age, when that 5-pointed star is put in a circle, it definitely is sort of, it is now one of those things that screams Satanism. And this guy didn't do a lot to help that. Every time he had an opportunity, and he had tattoos of pentagrams on him, but
Holly,
that
I'm
one on
really
his
sorry.
that one on his hand, what's that?
I just wanted to say I'm sorry to Polly. That had to have been extremely traumatic and something she'll never forget.
I didn't see that because I have
Her
these.
first boyfriend was murdered by a classmate that was into Satanism.
Oh, good Lord. How awful. But
Like,
you see,
look at that. Even that photo of his face.
yeah,
To me, that doesn't. I mean, I easily could believe that that's not fully a human. It's someone who's trying to look human or pretending to be a human. Look at that. I mean, that just doesn't look to me. It looks like something trying to wear a human suit a little bit, but it's
right.
like it's coming through that it isn't. You can tell by the face, the eyes, the cheekbones. That's not really
And
to me. I know that sounds a little cuckoo.
it doesn't sound kooky. And one of the things that's kind of bizarre is that this guy was given a lot of leeway. He came to court, I don't know how many times, wearing sunglasses. I guess California is just different. If you tried doing that in the feds, even if those sunglasses were prescription, they're not going to let you wear sunglasses as you're sitting there. And he would play to the audience. He'd lean back, he'd look at the girls and, shoot them a smile. The incredible thing to me is when you say, it's not okay, if there's something so wrong with women who are doing this, they all feel like, I could fix this guy. If Richard was with me, I could understand him. He would cut your eyes out. He would torture you and then move on to the next person. This guy wasn't capable of maintaining a relationship. He was the real deal sick bastard, right?
Yes, J-pop. Yes, like that. He looks possessed to me.
Well, and I think that he would probably have been the first one to tell you that he was. Right? If you go through all of his interviews, he talks a lot about being indwelled. Like you'll hear Christians say that, the Holy Spirit is within them. This was a guy that was in the exact opposite direction. He was proud as hell to be a Satanist, right? He was super proud to be a Satanist. He would say leaving court, "Hail Satan," right? He did everything within his power to make people really uncomfortable. And that is how these people died, right? The people that he murdered, he got off to being that guy. He got off to being, the terrifying dude that he would go in and one of the footprints that they got was off an alarm clock where he pulled the electrical part of the alarm clock off so that he could use that to bind the women to a 4-post bed spread eagled. He would go in and, a set of sisters, one of whom was an invalid, couldn't move, doesn't stop him from doing, what he did. And he would mutilate the bodies. And I know this is unpleasant, but it's also a serial killer, right? There's no way to talk about this. And the number of crime scene photos that I could be using right now, because this is one of the most well-documented cases. Every one of those crime scenes has photos out there that you can see the bodies in. I'm not trying to make this any more grotesque than needs to be. Bizzle, great to see you. Zeke, I'm glad you're here. That would be Zeke the Scott. Glad that you are here. This is, bad wiring can be created. We can rewire to fix trauma and such too. I agree with that. However, there are people, in my opinion, that are born evil. And I know that there are people that hate this as a concept. Right. But this is absolutely something that throughout my life, Drew Peterson's just a great example. Right. I've talked about the time where I saw a guy get his nose bit off. Every guy in there, every stone cold killer and gangster back there was terrified by this. It was one of those things that rocked everybody. And it just made Drew Peterson laugh. Like he really got a kick out of this. And I know that people deal with trauma in different ways, but there were a lot of guys that were cracking jokes, but you could see that they were going through it. Drew's jokes were different, right? He is it's bad wiring. And in my opinion, psychopathy is bad wiring. And I've talked about this on the show before. It is such a small percentage of the population that are psychopaths. just like it's a very small percentage of the population that are actually narcissistic. However, everybody thinks that they've met 25 narcissists. Everybody thinks that they've met 25 psychopaths. Truthfully, especially this particular brand of psychopathy, where you are a sexual sadist, is incredibly rare. We don't feel like it is because of Bundy and because of, all of the people like the Green River Killer, all of these people that we know about. And we know about them because the behavior is so different. It's so aberrant and so off of the beaten path that when it does happen, we talk about it forever. We're talking about Richard Ramirez, and this is something that was over in 1985, right? So, but it isn't as prevalent as people think it is.
And Anna, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't feel, the Rex guy, I don't feel like it's that crazy to say what I said, because I also believe the opposite. I have seen and heard of stories, and I've met one or two people in my life that I was like, that person wasn't human, but in the good way. I'm like, that was like an angel to me. Like that was somebody who helped. And there's stories like that too, where it's the opposite, right? Where you're like, that didn't feel human to me. They were like of God.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it doesn't shock me that you've got people who are also pretending to be people, and they're not. They're walking this earth and they're not of God. They're godless creatures. But I was going to ask you too, are there any movies based on this man?
Oh yeah. There's been all kinds of movies made about the Night Stalker. There have been many, and if I think about it, I'll be able to tell you who played someone else will get it before I get it.
I'll look. Well,
how many and when did he die? So altogether, there were about 15 people, right? He was arrested on August 31st, 1985. He was recognized by citizens in East LA while trying to steal a car. He was beaten by a mob before the police, including responding officers like Jim Kaiser, took him into custody.
I've never heard of any of these. The Night Strangler, the Night Stalker. There was a lot of them called the Night Stalker, of course. But yeah, I've not heard of any of these movies.
I'm trying to. Do they say who played the part though? Because if I remember correctly, a couple of pretty well-known actors have played Ramirez.
The most famous Night Stalker movies are the 1972 TV classic starring Darren McGavin as reporter Carl Kolchak.
72?
Yep.
That's before he committed the crimes. The crimes were committed in 84 and 85.
Says the most famous Night Stalker movies are the 1972 TV classic starring Darren McGavin and its 1973 sequel, The Night Strangler. That is weird.
Well, I think that there are multiple people that have been called.
Then let me type in Richard Ramirez. You're right. Because there were.
Yeah, that's going to be better. And he died on June 7th, 2013 of cancer. And no, he most assuredly did not ever have the come to God moment. He was looking forward to going to hell.
I forgot. Debbie Zito said on my stream tonight that there's a great docuseries on it on Netflix right now. Okay, so several movies and documentaries depict the crimes of Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, who terrorized California in the 80s. Key films include The Night Stalker 2016, starring Lou Diamond Phillips. I don't know who that is.
That's the name I was looking for. Thank you.
Night Stalker 2009 and the Netflix documentary series Night Stalker: The Hunt for Serial Killer in 2021.
Did you ever see the movie La Bamba?
Nope.
Okay.
I was wondering if it was based on a great movie, Red Dragon, but I think that was Ed Gein.
Well, Ed Gein ends up in every horror movie. Parts of Ed Gein. What was the question that was just up there by?
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't you think he's unique? There wasn't.
He's incredibly unique in every way. From your typical serial killer, he is incredibly unique. And I don't think there ever would have been a cooling off period. This is one of those reasons. Most to be a serial killer, normally there is that cooling off period, right? Where the serial killer stops killing for a while. That's not the case. He went and just went hard and just continued until he got caught. And I don't think anything would have stopped him. I think he probably knew he was going to get caught, and I don't think he cared. He lived right? To be evil. This was his get down, right?
Why the reason I thought of Red Dragon, it doesn't really add up with what you're describing with this man as far as who played the serial killer in Red Dragon, Ray Fiennes, who did a great job in that.
Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Barbara. Wait, the removing of the eyes was in Red Dragon and may have been inspired by Ramirez. And actually, Barbara, I didn't think of that. What I thought of was in Red Dragon. Yeah, he broke mirrors and put mirrors in their eyes. He didn't want them looking at him. And so I thought, what was that about? Like, don't look at me.
Yeah. Cat. I do not pick and choose how those get put in. It's done by an automated system. I've never chosen to put in more ads or less ads.
I didn't hear anybody say that on my chat tonight. I wonder. It's weird.
This is excessive. I apologize. I agree with Tommy. He was a poser, an abused, angry, hurt child. So far, that's how I feel about him. I think he's a poser. Now, he was obvious. He's a killer. He's a violent killer. But I think he was. He was turned on by Bundy. He was turned on by the Hillside Strangler. He ended up being really excited that the person that caught him was Salerno. He just thought it was the coolest thing in the world that the guy that caught the Hillside Strangler is the same cop that caught him. He was absolutely a poser. And I think that this is why, to answer your question, Renee B., this is why he was so unique. This is a guy that wanted to be a famous serial killer. I think more than the compulsion that drives serial killers, bad wiring and whatever, this guy wanted to be the most evil serial killer that ever lived. He wanted to have big numbers. I think that's why he was killing as fast as he was. And there were nights, by the way, that he went out, killed 2 people, and then went and raped somebody again in that night. It was like he had to get everything. He wanted to kill somebody and he wanted to sexually assault somebody. And if the first murders don't go well, he'll cruise down the street and do it again. And he jumped from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood. Google says, yes, his brain was studied after his death. Yeah, I know that has been widely reported that they did study his brain. I didn't want to cut you off. Weren't you about to say something? Pumpkin?
No.
Okay. I am wearing my sub today. I've got my Submariner on. Go.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Trace, she probably already left, but she got triggered. Guys, this is dark stuff, so definitely don't remain in here if it's getting to you, because I can understand how it would, and that's totally fair. Take care of yourself and your mental health before you stick around for something like this. Would you say this is? I mean, it's hard to say that he's the worst serial killer because he only existed for like a year. There's so many of these guys that got away with this for a long time.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that he killed people before they, like, for years and years and years and years, and he just finally, you don't?
I don't. I think that there were more deaths that he did than they attributed to him. I think more than likely there were probably a lot more than the 13 to 15 that they say he did. However, I don't think he was a serial killer obviously he's a serial killer. He killed more than 3 people. But what I mean is, I don't think he had the compulsion to kill that other people did. I think that he did this primarily because he wanted to be that evil, famous scumbag.
Yeah.
Well, they did. Yeah. And you know what, Debbie Zito, if you watch any of the interviews that they do in the with the hopes of gaining some information on him, by the time Ramirez was meeting with the people that were profilers or whatever, he was so into the game, right?
Who was worse than him?
Well, here's the thing. Again, like you look at Ted Bundy, and his numbers were double, right? If you look at the Green River killer, right, you're looking at 4 times the amount of. He was on drugs. He was absolutely on drugs. He was a big fan of drugs, but This was a guy, while his numbers may not have been as high as a lot of serial killers, most serial killers aren't doing it because they want to be famous. Most serial killers aren't doing it because they want to represent evil and have the whole world think that they're the top of the food chain when it comes to Satanism. During the trial of Richard Ramirez, there were so many people that were in the audience, in the gallery, who had pentagram tattoos, right? That had, Satan tattoos. In fact, there have been a lot of books written about this, and one of the ones that I read, there was a relative of a victim that sat in there thinking, these people that are sitting next to me love what happened to my family member. Like, these sick sons of bitches are in here with their pentagrams on, and they're here to support Richard Ramirez. This was such an unusual. Debbie Zito. What I mean is, I think that this is far more evil than a Ted Bundy, and I say that because I think that a lot of serial killers cannot stop themselves from doing what they do. I think that Richard Ramirez wanted, right, to be evil. And for that reason, the way that he did what he did, and again, I know that this is triggering for a lot of people, but it is true crime, to go and kill two people, and then the following day get up and go abduct a 6-year-old, right, and take her out and sexually assault her for an entire day, and then drop her off, right, without killing her. It's almost like he was doing everything within his power to be over the top evil. Like, he wanted, by not killing these kids, the kids got a chance to tell the story. And as horrific as that is, I believe that was the motivation. I believe that this guy wanted the world to go, this is the most evil bastard that ever lived.
Yeah, because this is going to sound nuts, but like, there are some serial killers throughout history, I would imagine, that didn't even want to be known at all. Like, they just did it because they did it, right? They weren't trying to be like, look at me, dick swinging, serial killing, dick swinging.
Most of them have absolutely no desire whatsoever to be discovered.
Right.
Yeah,
they weren't doing it for performance or theatrical, right?
Correct.
I do have a question.
Tate LaBianca is a great. I'll get to that. Give me your question.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Well, this is another one of those things where the Tate LaBianca crime scene was staged as well. I mean, it was all real, but they were, in theory, right, if you believe any of this, in theory, they were trying to start a race war. This is the narrative that the state put out. So Charles Manson sent his people out there to be over the top violent, right? To go witchy. And what was the statement? I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's bidding, right? I think is what Tex Watson said. So that's a great example of a situation that's similar, right? Where these people aren't technically serial killers. I mean, they're not technically doing this out of a desire or out of something that's bad wiring. This is someone who was ordered to do it, right, by Charles Manson, because this was going to be a big show of some sort. Whether you believe that narrative or not, Charlie most assuredly sent them there to do the killing. So it's a great example, honestly, because they're along the same line where you're not getting a Ted Bundy, or you're not getting a the Green River Killer, or BTK. You got somebody that's doing this solely because they want to be famous, and I do think that that's very, very different. And he was a pretentious prick, Neptune Lioness. Watching the interviews will make you want to kill him, because you know it's rehearsed. You hear him screw it up and then back up and start to try to do it again because he didn't quite rehearse the statement that he was going to make, and he'd get this like almost shit-eating grin on his face that he could. It's embarrassing. It really is. It's embarrassing.
God, it really reminds me of our haters. No joke. I'm not just saying that. Like, even how scripted our haters are when they go on and do their thing, you can tell they're such posers. Like, they're not. You can tell they're doing it because someone's telling them to do it. They have marching orders. How they start every video doing the same weird theatrical stuff. But I have a question. Speaking of the Gilgo Beach guy, Rex
Heuermann.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the most recent serial killers in time. Do you think that someone like, this is such a dumb question, but does someone like Rex Heuermann, Do you think that those guys who are I mean, I like what someone just said. I think Renee B, maybe it wasn't. Somebody just said you have to keep in mind that this is something, oh, Tennessee girl. Most of us can't even imagine this. This is like not on a level that we're humans that we don't think like this. But do you think that like someone like Rex Heuermann idolized past serial killers? Do you think he thought about them? Do you think he was like, yeah, my favorite is Charlie Manson, or my favorite is Night Stalker. I loved
100%.
his work. Like do you think?
100%. We
Yeah.
in Rex Heuermann as an example, we know for a fact that he had books on all of them. Like he had books on Green River Killer. He had books on Ted Bundy. He studied, right? He also had books on crime scene investigation. He studied serial killers to try to sort of improve on it. So did Richard Ramirez. Ramirez also had books on serial killers. This is actually very common these days, especially because of social media now. You know, once these people are caught, it's very easy for them to go back and just do the well. This is what the guy was searching on his phone. This is what the guy was actively looking up, and I think it's part of the entire process. Like they start getting their rocks off by fantasizing about what they're going to do. And they study these other people that have actually done it. And all of that is part of this descent into madness that, a great number of serial killers do this. All school shooters do it, right? Every school shooter that comes out today, we find out studied Dylan, Klebold and Harris, the two kids that shot up, the first huge, school shooting. There were plenty before that, but Columbine was different. It was televised in a way that others hadn't been. But
So they do. You think not all we would know, but a lot of them probably do idolize like serial killers of the past. And
I believe all of them. To be really honest with you, I don't, especially modern serial killers. Every one of them seems to study the people that went before them, and in some cases it's because they want to get better, like Rex Heuermann. But Renee B says, I think these sickos rub one out reading about other killers. I agree with that. I think that there is a sexual gratification that all of these people get from the violence. And Ramirez, like, again, you talk about just how this seemed to be almost performative. He goes in and he commits a murder at a house, goes into the refrigerator, eats everything in sight, right? He goes in there and just starts eating, literally after butchering two people. He goes in and starts eating all of the food in the refrigerator to the point that he ends up vomiting on the floor. Now, whether or not he did it intentionally or whatever, and then steps a couple of feet away and rubs one out onto the carpet and leaves the baby batter right there, which is obviously not something that's going to prevent you from getting caught. It's something that's going to guarantee you get caught.
Are most serial killers sexually charged, sexually predators?
Yes. I mean, most are, but very often they can't even do what they want to do, right? There are many serial killers that can't get an erection. There are many serial killers that can't ejaculate, or they have to masturbate because it isn't sexual as much as that. I mean, it is sexual, obviously, because of what they're doing, but it isn't sexual in the sense of the word that you and I would think of sexual. Like, ooh, I'm turned on. I'm not turned on sexually. I'm turned on by the fact that this person's terrified. He gets to look at these people and see them shaking. And very often that's what we're talking about. It's about control, it's about domination, and it's about creating fear. So it's not, because you hear people, one of the things you hear all the time is, well, he wasn't even a bad looking guy. Like, look how many women were all over this guy. He could have gotten laid. He's not trying to get laid. He's trying to terrify people. It's not sexual. If it's sexual, you're going to go, yeah, that 74-year-old over there is looking pretty damn good. The fear you create in the eyes of a 9-year-old boy and the fear you create in the eyes of a 75-year-old woman, that's why those two things can still, because if you think about it in the terms that we do, you go, how can you have those two types? But it isn't sex. It's not normal in any way. It's not arousal in the sense of the word that we would be doing, right?
That's why I say it's not human. That's not human. So it's not. To me, that's just not human. There's something about this that is otherworldly or possessed or something, because that is absolutely not human to me.
You know, this gets talked about a lot. In my opinion, long haul truckers freak me out. Few cameras out there. They're anonymous. They're also 99.999 out of 100 of them are the salt of the earth, and they're just out there making the economy run. But there are a lot of people that are freaked out by it because there aren't too many businesses these days where you would have an opportunity. In every one of these truck stops, they have women, and don't yell at me, this is just what everybody calls them, but they call them lot lizards. And these are prostitutes that service truckers exclusively. And they sort of walk those lots. And I think a lot of those women do disappear. And it doesn't take a crap load of dirty truckers. If you have one or two long haul truckers that are committing these kind of crimes, don't get in the truck, obviously. But that kind of advice should go no matter what the occupation is. But there are people out there that believe that long haul truckers absolutely, there are some of them that are serial killers, and there may be, but 99.99 out of 100 are just the salt of the earth. Yes.
Did Dahmer claim that he got saved?
Absolutely, he did. Yep. Dahmer spent a lot of time talking about Christ prior to death. Here's the thing, though. He also was still being really creepy. He would take his food. No, I mean, this is actually worth talking about, because the fellas don't have a sense of humor about these things. And he would take, like they would give him chicken tenders and he would make it look like a woman. He would like make it into, and then he would cover it with ketchup and laugh about it. And the people that ended up killing him complained about that, right? That was one of the things that really kind of pissed them off. I got to get rid of this mustache.
Excuse me? You're not getting rid of that mustache.
How about if I do the pencil thin number? If I look like Errol Flynn, you know what it happens? It grows straight up, and you're constantly doing this thing. It drives me insane.
Okay, well, we'll trim it down. You don't have to look like the Lorax, but you're definitely not getting rid of it either.
I'm not sure I like the Lorax reference.
I do. He speaks for the trees.
Well, there is that.
Babe, he claimed that he was saved.
Yeah. Now, and there are people, from a theological standpoint, there are people that get really pissed about this, right? Where they say, so you do whatever you want, and then you just, you accept, Jesus, and you're getting into heaven. They talk about, in the Bible, it talks about true repentance. I don't think that Jeffrey Dahmer was capable of true repentance. And I know that there are people that will disagree with me on that. But you have to actually, take responsibility for what you did and feel bad about it. I don't know that a lot of these serial killers can do that. We see them, if you watch Ted Bundy's last interview, people say, well, he seemed really genuine, because he has spent a lifetime looking at other people, seeing their pain, seeing their fear, their emotions, and then playing that back like a TDK tape, right? Well, is it live or is it Memorex?
I don't believe that for a second. I don't think you spend your whole life murdering people without a thought in your mind and then eating them, drilling holes in their heads, and then suddenly, conveniently, you found the Lord.
Well, here's the thing.
Nah.
There are people that genuinely repent, and there are people that don't. The man on Jesus's left, Dismas, right, was the cat's name by all accounts.
Was Dismas drilling holes in people's heads?
No, he was not.
Okay.
No, he was not. Reese, have you ever felt like you've looked into the eyes of evil? If you've ever been to visitation at a high prison, you do. Yeah, there are a lot of evil people in prison, which shouldn't be a shocker, right?
Not in person. Not really in person, Renee B. I believe that probably L. Ron Hubbard was evil. I think he was like pure evil. But I never met the guy.
That's the porch light, the light at the back of the cab. I did not know that. And OTR is over the road. That's the term that you hear people use for long haul truckers, for guys that aren't going to be, finishing their route in a day. I'm dating myself beyond my age.
Hey, Robin. Babe, I already
Oh, he already did that. Can he do that? Of course he can.
Yeah, he's in love with both of us.
Yeah, he's talented to beat hell. So
He's
anytime somebody
infatuated.
does that, what do they say? They say it's the highest form of flattery, right?
Yeah,
Imitation is
he's
the highest.
infatuated. Yeah, that I got to be honest, that kind of like mocking of God makes me mad. I don't like that. I don't. Hey, Allie, I don't like people who suddenly find God or fake that they do or whatever it is. I really don't like that. I mean, um, I really hope that the Lord said, "Yeah, no, you didn't," and I hope he
Well,
Baruch assaulted him and went, "That
you,
was a bad egg."
one of the interesting examples of that would be a guy from Utah named Gary Gilmore. And when Gary Gilmore was convicted, he also allegedly found God. But he immediately then said,
Hey, Jen, stop.
sorry, I could smell the dog's breath. He immediately said, I don't want any of my appeals, right? He went with I'm done. I'm not fighting this. No appeals, no nothing. Let's just get to the finish line. He believed in an eye for an eye. And his last words, when they said, do you have any last words? His were, yeah, let's do it. He
That
was,
wasn't that John Wayne Gacy? Wait, who said that?
no, John Wayne Gacy said,
Kiss my
kiss
ass.
my ass. Yeah.
I mean,
Pat Allen, thank you. Appreciate that.
kind of admire that.
The kiss my ass thing?
Yeah, because he came into this world totally evil and awful, and he went out the same way. He owned it. No?
He did own it. Well, I mean, no, he didn't. But he at least he went out that way to be sure. I have read that book actually about Gacy. The part that really angers me is when convicts are all bad and suddenly become Muslim. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. Ali Sayer says, I will say this, though, if someone has a true repentance and such, it's not my judgment to make. I agree with you. I think anybody that really repents from anything, that's how it's supposed to work. And if they're capable of that, that's fantastic. Now, this cat right here, I'm sorry, not trying to sound like a dick, but I don't think that cat right there is capable of true repentance. I think that he reveled far too much in being the evil bastard. He liked freaking people out. That's the look that we got to know. He was always putting some kind of a scowl on. It's amazing to me, again, that women found this guy attractive. It absolutely freaks me out that there were so many women that thought, oh, sexy Richard Ramirez. You know what I mean? But
I'm sorry, but that's evil. If you are attracted to someone that raped children, that's disgusting.
11 of them at a minimum.
I have not seen that movie, Thought Criminal, Monster. I know what you're talking about. That was Charlize Theron, I believe.
That's
no,
Monster.
Right. That's what she just asked if I've seen it.
Yeah. I never saw the movie, but I have done an amazing amount of research on the character that she was playing, Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah, I'm really I don't really do horror movies, guys. I don't. It freaks me out.
With the exception of Silence of the Lambs, which some may call a horror film, and you're pretty fond of that one.
I like Silence of the Lambs and The Shining.
J-Pop, what we know about his growing up is he had a very abusive father. Now, we don't know that to be sexually abusive, but it was certainly verbal and physical abuse. He would take off at night and sleep in graveyards in the town that he lived in because he found that was a place that he could go and sleep without being harassed. We know that he had an uncle that had done service in Vietnam, and he brought back Polaroids of women he had tortured, during war, and showed this to a very young and a very impressionable Richard Ramirez. That same uncle then killed his wife while Richard was there. He witnessed it. He was later, by the way, released because he was found not guilty by reason of insanity and somehow managed to get back out, which is just astounding to me, but it did happen. You're right, cousin. Did I say uncle? It is a cousin. His name was Miguel, and he had gave him all kinds of stories as well. You know, they were in war, and he'd talk about how they would have captured a guy and then tortured him for fun, not to get information out or anything else. This guy was a serial killer with an M16. Right, his cousin was a really, really bad dude. Then, as I said earlier, the sister then adopts him. I mean, wrong word. The sister then agrees to take him into the house and allow him to live there so he doesn't have to deal with the abusive father. Unfortunately, the sister's husband is a peeping Tom, a stone cold freak that likes to go out and watch, women and young girls getting undressed at night, and he would take Richard with him. So Ramirez didn't really get a break, and it doesn't give you a pass of any kind, but he didn't get a break in any way. Then he left he left Texas and moved to California, and it kind of all went downhill. Do you think some people are born with bad wiring and they don't get the switch tripped, and others do get there? 100%. 100%. There are psychopaths all over the place that work in corporate structures and are politicians and successful as hell because, again, this is not a theory I came up with, by the way. It's just one that I happen to really believe in. I believe that you're born with bad wiring. That's the gun. You're already carrying it. Something that happens to you during your childhood, like with Richard Ramirez, having a cousin that tells him all about the people that he killed in Vietnam and showing him the photos of it and all of that stuff, that puts a clip into the gun. And then there is another activating event, which could have been the peeping Tom stuff. It could have been whatever, but that's the activating. So it's like a 1, 2, 3 kind of a punch. But I do believe that you have to be born with that, in my opinion. This scared everybody in California. This was absolutely a huge, huge thing because people were afraid to go to sleep. There were people that, that were freaked out. They were going out and getting guns because this went on for 14 months. Sorry. This is a very interesting question. Do you think the dating game killer left me alone after I said you're a good-looking guy, you can have any girl you want, because he didn't think I was scared enough? It's bizarre with serial killers what makes one person a victim and another person not. Why did Richard Ramirez drop off, the kids that he had kidnapped and sexually assaulted, raped? It's just bizarre, right? That some people get a pass and some people don't. But that could have been it. The fact that, these people are definitely getting their rocks off by looking at fear in people's eyes. It isn't about sex. And you just may not have showed enough fear for him. I think that that's just as good a theory as anything else, right? For real. It's frightening how little we understand the minds of serial killers, even studying the crap out of it. We're going to study the crap out of Rex Heuermann. And I think that, you were talking earlier, Quibs, about how, there are serial killers that don't want to get caught. There are definitely serial killers that don't want to get caught and ones that don't want to have any interaction with police after they do. But I think most, once they get caught, want to relive that. They want to sit down and tell them about every detail of every crime. And it's astounding how often when they start to interview these people that they're really have an amazing recall, almost frightening. There's one particular serial killer that drew his victims. And I mean, like, amazingly, and just did it from memory because these guys, they live for this shit. This is, when we talk about them taking trophies, a lot of times that trophy, a ring or whatever it is they take is just enough to sort of use as a talisman to get these people to where they can think about it and relive it.
Did he take trophies?
Yeah. I mean, he was ripping people off. So he was walking out with a bunch of stuff. Now, how much of it he kept? I think, we know that there were body parts in some cases that were removed. And why, who knows? I think again, that so much of this was performative, right? So much of this was absolutely performative. Sorry, I was reading something.
So gross. It's so troubling. It's like Tennessee Girl said, like this is hard for us to even imagine. And it is. It's so troubling.
It is. This is this, and it's so far off the beaten path. This is, this was a serial killer case that, very often we find out about serial killers long after the barn door is shut. This was in real time. Every couple of days, I was reading to you the dates that these things happened, but every couple of days we're right back to the hills. The Night Stalker has struck again. We believe this is also the Night Stalker, right? And it was constant, and he would always do it at night. They were always home invasions with doors that were unlocked or windows that were unlocked. Shooting the husband first, assaulting women, satanic references, Hail Satan, pentagrams being drawn, necrophilia in some cases. Yeah, in some cases he killed these people and then had sex with them.
Hey, Ms. Weedy Poo.
Yes, good to see you, Miss Weedy Poo. He theft of valuables and jewelry. He used guns, knives, hammers, machetes. It's almost like if it was more evil than the previous one, that he was going to do it.
He tried to check every box.
He did. Johnny says he tried to check every box. He really tried to do everything within his power to be a little bit more evil even than himself. Bundy is obviously a really evil dude, but while the murders were taking place, he wasn't a guy that was trying to make the murders look worse than they were, right? He was trying to cover his tracks. The Night Stalker wasn't trying to cover anything. He loved the terror of it. He loved the fact that he would draw on these people. He would put a pentagram on a dead woman's body. He would mutilate the bodies sexually. And just, necrophilia in general is obviously, foul. Yeah, Bundy was organized. Most serial killers are incredibly organized, especially the ones that are able to sustain and do this for a long period of time. Ramirez came out, did all this in 14 months, and didn't give a shit about leaving evidence and doing things like that.
He was super organized.
Rex Heuermann may be the most organized serial killer. Oh, I take that back. Israel Keys is probably the most organized.
And what year did you say he died, Ramirez?
2013, I believe is
what?
When he died. Yeah.
He got caught in 1985 and he lived all the way to 2013 in prison.
June 7th, 2013 on death row the entire time. He died of complications from B-cell lymphoma type of cancer while he was on death row at San Quentin prison in California. He was 53 years old at the time of his death.
Oh,
he had been on death row since 1989.
That guy lived that long? I thought he died in like 1987.
No.
He lived that long?
Yeah, he lived until June the 7th, 2013.
Why does it take that long to execute somebody that's on death row? Get rid of them.
California doesn't execute people. All right, California doesn't execute people. Charles Manson got the death penalty. Then they changed the laws, so his sentence got commuted to life without. California has a horrific track record of the application of the death sentence. They didn't outlaw it. You can still get the death penalty in California. There's just a moratorium, right? They're officially not killing anybody, man. Is that where Peterson was on death row? I don't know exactly where Peterson was, but my understanding is that, in most states, there's not two death rows. So he would have had to have been at the same one that, that Richard Ramirez and anyone else that was on death row.
Is Scott in California right now?
Scott Peterson? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fascinating one. I really followed the Scott Peterson thing.
I probably will be covering that one because, every so often he comes back up for a review, and there's a lot of people that weren't there at the time, right? A lot of youngsters who got into law and they think this guy's innocent and they want to get him a new trial. He's as guilty as sin. right?
Yes, he is.
Really, really guilty.
Yeah. Interesting. I thought this guy died in the 80s. I had no idea he stayed alive for that long.
Yeah, he died in
Hard to believe that
2022.
no one killed him.
Well, death row it's a little bit tougher to get to people on death row, right? It really is. It's a little bit more difficult to get to people on death row. You're not in general population in the same sense of the word. On some death rows, they will allow inmates to be out at the same time on tier time. So you have the ability to walk around, make a phone call or whatever, and they can cook with one another. They can hang out and watch TV together. But for the most part, they're segregating the crap out of these people. They don't want them near anybody else.
Was Dahmer on death row?
I don't remember if Dahmer was on death row. I think he got life in prison, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I don't think Dahmer got
Because he got murdered.
correct. Is it the Innocence Project that's working with Scott Peterson? It's not like the national version of it, isn't it? Like the state version of it. The sad thing is this: it's a terrible, terrible call. I mean, it's a terrible call. The guy did it, in my humble opinion.
Interesting, Neptunes.
Yeah.
Wow.
One out of 4 people, and when I was in prison, they said 1 out of 4 people had HIV in the feds, and the number of people with Hep C was even higher. Everybody had Hep C. Everybody. Renee B, I get it. I really do. I get it.
Hey, Henry's World. Wow, babe. Guys, I am posting my I just posted my link to my channel in the chat for those of you that are not subscribed. I think most of you are, but if you wouldn't mind, come over and subscribe to my channel. I just posted it. I appreciate that very much. I love meeting the new people. There's a lot of new people that come over to my channel from the boat. I'm very grateful for all of you.
Love
and
that.
I really
bracelet.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I've really enjoyed meeting everybody.
Love that bracelet you're wearing. I'm a fan.
Colty?
Oh no, I thought that was the other one.
The big giant one you just bought me?
Yes. I thought it said Tommy on it, but I am a big fan of the big giant one that I just bought you. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, it really is. I feel great about that.
It's really cool.
Dahmer refused to be segregated. Yeah, I have heard that. He still was segregated. He just wasn't PC'd. So he was still put away from everybody else. However, he was put away from everybody else with other people that were put away from everybody else. And that was enough, right? They got him.
Wait.
You love the bracelet too? Good.
The woman that married him?
Yep. True story. He was married. This happens often. It really does. And you know what? There's a certain kind of mental illness, right? In women that do this. And what ends up happening is they get sort of exactly what they want. They can control the situation. I married a woman while I was in prison, and they have an incredible amount of control over you, right? They can do it by, they put money on your books. They have to be there to answer the phone when you call. They get to have a guy and completely dictate the relationship, right? He's never going out and cheating. He's never going to not call. It's they get what they want out of these people, and I think that with somebody like Ramirez, there's also a level of fame with that. However, she also took off. She didn't stick around with him for the long run. Yeah, he got married in 1996 is when he got married.
That's insane.
And who doesn't want to marry a Satanist that killed 14 or 15 people? Ted Bundy was able to get laid in a visiting room and impregnate the woman that he was eventually to marry. Yeah, he's got a daughter. They got it on in the visiting room. He knocked her up, and they had a daughter together. True story.
That's unfortunate.
I'll bet it wasn't a lot of fun for him. You know what I mean? Like he had to get laid, but he couldn't kill her afterwards and take her head home. Probably wasn't really what he was into. Who is paying for the daughter now? Well, Cat, they separated and went their separate ways before his death. This woman really believed wholeheartedly that he was innocent. And once she found out and was no longer convinced of his innocence, I think she was pretty freaked out by the whole thing.
Yeah.
It is, right? It absolutely is. But here's the thing. There are people right now who think, Reese will marry a bank robber. This is a guy with a lot of felonies. He broke the law a lot. Obviously, the 187, right? The capital murder is the top of the food chain. But there are people who kill someone and then completely turn their life around. However, I don't think they're serial killers, right? Serial killers are a different breed. I happen to know, and one has been on the show many times, but I happen to know a couple of people that were convicted of murder. One of who I should say, turned his life around so dramatically that the state took him off lifetime probation. Good.
But not all serial killers kill their kids. BTK had kids.
No,
I mean, that's not to say that Bundy would have killed his daughter.
No, I don't think Bundy would have killed his daughter. I don't. I think he would have killed the woman that gave birth to her.
Maybe. I mean, he was in love with a woman that he never harmed.
No, and when they broke up, he killed 36 women that looked exactly like her.
Right. I know that.
So
thank you, Regina. Thank you for everyone who subscribed to my channel. That's so nice. Thank you.
And by the way, if you walk away, I'm just going to start hunting blondes down. Green-eyed blondes with tremendous side boob and a good sense of humor.
And a fupa?
Would you stop it with the frickin' fupa?
Yes, Lorraine. She is a rescue. I rescued her 10 years ago. She was thrown out of a car. I had to wait to get her because
I hate that story every time I hear that.
She had broken feet and broken ribs. Yeah, but she has a great life now, babe.
I know. It's just a hard story. Killing someone and being a serial killer are different pathologies. Damn straight, right? Damn straight. Completely different. There are individuals that make mistakes. I have a friend. He's been on the boat. He pled guilty at his arraignment. If you know anything about true crime, that just doesn't happen. In fact, you got to wrestle with the judge to pull it off because they want to give you all of the time to do pre-sentence investigations, to do all of the things that are part of the whole process. But he went in there and said, I did this. I'm guilty. I'm not going to fight this. I'm not going to go down that road. Right. It's, and from the very first day that he did this, he tried to take responsibility and turn his life around. And he's married. He has a child. He's very, very successful. But again, he was in a bar fight and he swung a pool cue and the pool cue hit somebody other than who he was fighting with. And that person died. That's so much different than someone sitting at the house and going, I'm going to go hunt down someone that looks like this and do this to them. Right. Like Rex Heuermann talking about in his little kill booklet saying, if there's less noise and I'm more organized, it gives me more time to play with them. Like that's got to make your stomach,
queasy. What is side boob? Tommy actually is the one who brought it up to me, but it's where actually that's not true. When I went to a Nordstrom in Seattle a couple years ago, I got refit for bras, and the girl was super cute and judgmental, and she looked like Adele, and she gave me a bigger size bra, and I was like, no way, that's not true. And she was like, yeah, your boobs are actually really big. She goes, you know how Victoria's Secret models have like big boobs? And I said, right. And she goes, you don't have that. You don't have front volume. She goes, you have side volume. She goes, all of your boobs, your tits are on the side. And I said, really? I hope you get fired. I'm going to try to get you fired. And so that's where I first heard it. And then Tommy came along and I was wearing these overalls in Ecuador with just like a little strapless, like neon pink bra underneath. And he was like, that's a lot of side boob. And so it's these boobs, they've never met each other. Like my thighs are just absolute best friends, but this one's never met this one because they live on the sides. And whenever I
remember introducing them, I don't think you're right on that.
Whenever I go to Cracker Barrel, I'm like, can I get a side of pancakes? And they're like, yep, they're just right on the side. And so That's what it is, Sierra Terry. It's just a lot of side boob. Unfortunately, I don't have any front volume boob.
Thought criminal. I absolutely believe that Shannon Gilbert was a victim of Rex Heuermann, and I think that there are a lot of other victims. I don't think that they're even close. I think Rex killed many more victims, and I believe we'll find out about that. I do believe that there are a lot of serial killers that literally can't help getting their rocks off talking about it with cops. And if you've ever watched any of the interviews, Bundy's probably the best example ever of that. Bundy could not talk about this, and he ended up doing it in the third person. The person that did this, and then he would give you detail down to the very last, and even Israel Keys was a very organized, very intelligent serial killer. Really knocked it out in terms of reliving it and getting into it. They're sick bastards, right? They really are.
They sure are. And sorry, that was an awkward moment, but I blame Sierra Terry. Love her anyway.
There's
love
nothing.
her
There's
love
nothing.
her to pieces.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the side boob. It's the round area on the.
Love you, Sierra. No, it's the round on the side. It's side globes.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, look. There are two things. I say this all the time. If somebody is struggling with drugs and they bring it up, I'll usually stop talking about whatever I'm talking about because it means that much to me. I view side boob in a very similar way. I'm a fan.
Sure.
You can't see it. I have a picture behind me. There's a picture behind me. It's got a little side boob on there.
A lot of side boob there. Yeah, it's on the side.
There is side boob.
Well, this was fun, and I think it's run its course.
I think you're absolutely wrong. Honestly, I will probably do a second Richard Ramirez show. And what I will be doing is talking about it after the conviction, and I will play some of the video of the interviews where it's so absolutely horrifically drawn out. Like he had literally taken notes of what he was going to say. Because if you're a serial killer, you know what a reporter is going to ask you. You're going to get in there and they're going to say, how do you sleep at night after killing this many people or whatever. And he was ready to roll to say governments, kill tens of thousands with the flip of a switch, but somehow I'm evil. And he was ready to talk about Satan, and it was performative for this dude. And I would absolutely love to be able to prove that to you. And I think in the next show we'll run some video of it, and so that you can see it. He's different than any other serial killer. One of the reasons that I led off with Ramirez, and it wasn't just that he would hit one city after another, like one small, part of LA, because LA is just a million little cities. But he would continue to move right from city to city to city, and then all the way up to San Francisco to go pull crimes up there. It was so unpredictable, and the fact that he switched guns right about halfway through his killing spree for no apparent reason. Everything that he did was so random that it made, the normal hunting down of this kind of sick bastard way more difficult. They're not used to somebody being this erratic. And Gilbert, the younger of the two cops, this guy doesn't get enough credit, especially because Frank Salerno, the bald guy, is such a freaking legend. But Gilbert was the one that said, I think that the person who's abducting these kids and raping them is the same person that's committing these murders. That was a leap, right? He was also the first person to think that some of them were connected and that they had a serial killer. To the uninitiated, or even to the people that do this for a living, to look at this case, nothing's going to jump out and say it's a serial killer. What is he doing that's the same? These people got killed with a hammer. These people got shot with a gun, right? These people, this one got raped. This one didn't get raped. There was no rhyme or reason to anything that he was doing, which is fascinating in its own right. But I think that what it really comes down to is that this guy just wanted to be evil, which is effed up if you think about it. But he wanted to be evil, and and really kind of embrace that and be the of all the serial killers, he wanted to be the Satan serial killer,
Yeah.
and he certainly got it right. This is how most people remember Ramirez. And the first time we saw it was in the back of a police car. He held his hand up, but look at him. He's just so damn proud of himself. He's just so damn happy. And you know what? You can get your grill fixed. That's still you ugly bastard. Here's the good news. And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm taking joy in this, but the good news is this guy's smoking turds in hell with Hitler, right? For real. This is a guy that's absolutely paying for his crimes for an eternity. And lest we think even for a split second that somehow these people are interesting or cool, that little girl on the left is a 6-year-old that he picked up and sexually assaulted in ways that are just horrific. And as a 6-year-old, this kid was ready to go and take the stand if necessary, in her own words, because she didn't want this to ever happen to somebody else. If there was a way that she could stop him, she wanted to. And that is her on the right. She is married. She has a family. God bless her. I would imagine that it had to be a very difficult thing to get to a point where you could be comfortable with a man touching you, right? I can't imagine. And there he is, side-eyeing the shit out of us like he's Pedro from from Napoleon Dynamite, doing the vicious side eye. And there's a picture of the victims. Now, these are the victims that were put to death. There were more victims than that. There were 11 that were just sexually assaulted. There are so many people that should have died and didn't, right? There are people that the number went up from 13 to 14 when somebody that he had shot who was a paraplegic ended up dying from those wounds at a later date. He left a lot of people really, really messed up. As we said earlier, in many of these cases, he would kill the husband so that he could sexually assault the wife. But just a sick, sick bastard, and someone that I think got what he had coming to him. Didn't start. He heard about a footprint, so he thought he threw his shoes in and got off a bridge. Yeah, after Dianne Feinstein, who was the mayor of San Francisco, came out and said, he's wearing Aviva running shoes. Like, literally one of the worst things that could possibly happen in an investigation. But on the bright side, Gil and Frank Salerno put together one hell of a case. Like, they really worked their asses off. This is kind of what we hope will happen in true crime always. And the fact that Frank Salerno had solved the Hillside Strangler case and then did this. One of the 16-year-old victims of Ramirez married Frank Salerno's son.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool, though.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Debbie. Wow.
Well, and you know what? This kind of stuff happens more often than you would think. These kind of traumatic cases bring people together. I was watching one the other day where a man raped and murdered a young woman. And the mother of that young woman basically, adopt isn't the right word, but the girl that did the killing went to prison, right? And left on the street a young girl, a girl that she had sexually assaulted. She sexually assaulted her own daughter, handed her over to a man. But the mother of the slain daughter, instead of being a vindictive and hating person, became super close with the daughter of the murderer.
Wow.
And to this day, they have an amazing relationship. And
Wow.
I saw her in an interview, and she said, I lost my daughter, my angel, but it's not this kid's fault. And she
Not
lost
at
everything.
all.
And the two of us together have built a beautiful relationship. I think that's amazing. If you ever saw the movie with Denzel Washington, American Gangster, where he plays the heroin dealer, the cop that busted him raised the drug dealer's son. Think about that for a second. So the guy goes to prison, and instead of the kid having to go into a foster care house or anything else, he gets raised by the cop that first busted the guy, and then after busting the dude, became his attorney and got him out of prison. Styro.
That's pretty crazy.
Yes, I could do that. I absolutely could do that. We're going to go through. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff on serial killers because I get more requests for this than I get for anything else. That and the
Thank you,
desire
Styro.
for people to see Reese's feet. I get that one a lot too.
That's on our other channel.
It is on our other channel, but we get a lot of requests for that, and it may be because it's called Only Feet.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we do have an appointment that we need to meet. We need to meet that businessman over there.
Yes, we do. Got about 3 minutes. All right, people. I will be doing a serial killer every single Wednesday. And if you, when this video is done, this live, if you go into the comment section and put up what you want done next, I promise you, if 10 of you say the same thing, that's what we're going to go with. So you do have an opportunity to make this happen. Wasn't that dude the one who instigated Diddy's father's death? Yes, 100%.
Sikorsky, where have you been? You were not in class tonight. And I brought you up on my channel tonight because I said, where is Sikorsky? I want to know about her problems. Come over and dump one of these days and let us know an update on your Aries guy that you've been dating. Babe, I'm going to go. If you want to stay on, you can, but I got to go.
I'm going to answer a couple of more questions, babe, and then I'll meet you over there for some Only Feet. Give me about 5 or 10 minutes and I'll meet you over there.
All right. Hey guys, thank you for being here. I'm going to hit my, put my channel up one more time. There it is. Please.
And I appreciate you coming on with me, babe.
Really?
It's so much more fun to do this with you. You ask great questions and you're eye candy.
I thought it was foot candy.
Let's not get me started. Sandy Bowers, good to see you. You don't want to
love you, babe. See you in a minute. Guys,
everyday guy like myself and go for a little fun action.
Thank you. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for having me on the boat and being kind to me. I appreciate that. Sorry I made it weird. I won't ever probably stop that. I'm just pointing out the behavior. I'm not going to correct it. But thank you again. Love you all. And I'll see you in a little bit, fella.
Yes, you will. Like it or not. All of me. What do you think of that?
Without that shirt.
Yes, sir. All right.
Bye. Love you. Bye. Whoops.
That's good. Well done.
Sorry, that was.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's funny that he had horrific breath and humanity really looked at a serial killer and was like, you know what else is upsetting here? His breath. Here's the thing. It's one of the, because that is funny as hell. But what ends up happening is that ends up becoming something that was across the board talked about by so many people that it did link this guy to more crimes. I mean, we had the footprint, and that linked about 6 or 7 of these crime scenes directly to Ramirez. However, in cases where somebody survived, they would say, you cannot imagine how bad this guy smelled. That was literally something that they would go, this is probably the same guy, because most people aren't going to be, it's not something that's going to jump off the page at you. Yeah, he stunk worse than anyone alive, but it is funny as hell. You're right. You got so many ideas for content. It's kind of your genre. Well, then get in there and put it up there. Cuba Gooding Jr. is Nick Barnes. That's, did he play him at some point? Yeah. Your dog is the cutest, but oh, that breath. Now that we're alone, Gertie has breath like a dog, like a dog that's no longer with us. No, Gertie just has some rugged breath. Great dog, though. Gertie's got more personality than she knows what to do with. But don't tell Reese I said that. Do you think someone will make a movie about the Nancy Guthrie situation? 100%. There's no chance that they don't. This is so unusual. It really is. In American Gangster Lifeboat, Cuba Gooding is Nicky Barnes. I did not know that. I did not know that that Cuba Gooding Jr. was even in that film. But I read the book. I don't remember seeing the movie. Hear any prison stories of Ramirez? Yeah, actually I have, but not because of people I know. I had a friend named JC who has hit every single yard in California, and he would talk about Richard Ramirez. But the best stories that I've ever heard have been from cops that worked, the same units as Ramirez. And what you end up with is they said he was super into talking to the cops. It's performative. He loved to talk about his crimes. He loved to talk to the cops. By all accounts, he played with them as well. Was the second they arrested him, he started saying to cops, "I bet you're wondering about this case or that case. That was me." He grooved to this. He absolutely grooved to this. Castle of the Moon, thank you so much. You look fantastic in green. Yes, I absolutely will do this. Thank you again, Castle of the Moon. Not a serial killer, but will you cover the Alex Murdaugh? I heard he's getting a new trial. I covered it last night in pretty big detail. He's going to get a new trial. He should get a new trial. And I know that's no fun to say because we know he's guilty, but he'll get found guilty again. We got to trust in the system. And not that it matters. I mean, it matters for the sake of justice, but no matter how you shake it, this dude is getting sent away, right? He's got a life in prison for all intent and purpose. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison just because of all of the financial stuff that he did. I mean, he stole $19 million, man. Why? Because of the book thing? Yes. But not only that, there were a lot of things in this case that were wrong. Yes, she does have Gertie's teeth cleaned. Yeah, she's great about that with all of her animals. It's not a matter of that. It's just she has that thing like you think to yourself, I wonder if she ate shit cakes for breakfast, like that kind of thing, So there was a lot of things that happened. One of the problems in that case was some of the evidence that has been allowed in. Some of the evidence that was allowed in. The woman writing the book was a problem, right? The animal mother says, I've been saying he should get a new trial. He and his whole family practiced in the same courthouse where he was tried for one. Yeah, that one, though, I mean, you would think that 12 jurors could come in there and probably put that aside. But what's really a problem is to bring evidence in, the evidence can't prejudice the jury. You can bring in evidence that says, okay, he did this, right? Or he's guilty of this. When they said that he had stolen $19 million, saying that is probative. You have to be able to say that because it goes to motive. But to bring in the victims and let a quadriplegic take the stand and spend literally 7 to 10 days, right, talking about how him ripping people off impacted their lives. That has nothing to do with the case in chief. It has nothing to do with what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Is supposed to just be about these crimes. It's like if I got arrested for bank robbery, they're not supposed to go in there and say, we know for a fact he's robbed 13 banks. He's been convicted of that, because that will prejudice a jury. They do the ipso facto thing. He used to be a bank robber. He's been arrested for this. Ipso facto, he's got to be guilty. They painted Alex in such a disgusting light, and he should be. But that kind of prejudice didn't need to come in. You could say he ripped off $19 million. He stole money from a quadriplegic, didn't give him $1. But to bring the quadriplegic in and let him testify for hours upon hours of how bad his life is and how he got screwed over, the jury is now so prejudiced against Alex Murdaugh that he doesn't have a chance of getting the trial that he's supposed to. Then you've got Courthouse Becky, who says to the jury instructions, which should only come from the judge. But the day that Alice was going to take the stand, she's telling them, hey, make sure you get a look at this guy, right? Pay attention because he's a scumbag. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what she said. And that's not supposed to happen, right? It really isn't. That should never happen, yet it did, right? Look at this. Thank you so much, Neptune Lioness. 5 of you just turned green, and I am of the firm belief that everybody looks better in green. Ask Kermit the Frog. My vote, Ed Gein. Fair enough. A lot of people want me to do Ed Gein. I will do it, but technically he's not a serial killer. Didn't kill enough people to be a serial killer. However, thank you again, Neptune Linus. I don't have a problem with doing Gein. He's fascinating. He's absolutely fascinating. I haven't kept up on the Nancy case. Did they end up finding DNA at the scene? Also, did you see Kash Patel bashing the Tucson sheriff today about not letting the FBI in sooner? Allegedly, they had a plane on the runway ready to roll, and at least 4 days went by without the FBI being invited in. This is going to be, right, a death knell to the case itself. The first 24 to 48 hours are the most important, right? And you could have had the FBI there at the time and didn't. Tommy on a talk show today, there's a bunch of talk on disclosure. Tubman asked a bunch of ministers to come to D.C. Any thoughts? Yeah, and I hate to jump up on a soapbox, but Christians believe that there will be a rapture, and they're going to have a way of explaining where all of these people just took off to, right? How did these people disappear? I think that that disclosure at this time is interesting. You know, for the longest time, we had the government telling us that nothing to see here, no such thing as flying saucers, no such thing as aliens, right? And we didn't believe them at all. Now they're saying there are absolutely aliens, right? They're coming out with that, and we're going, they're bullshitting, right? They're too hard to believe in any case. So I could go either way on it, right? Are there aliens? Are they fallen angels? Are they demonic? If you take it purely from a scientific standpoint, the closest planets that would have a shot at having life forms on it are light years away from the Earth. For them to be able to get here as fast as they do without us seeing them on the way makes you wonder, right? It really makes you wonder. So who knows? But it is interesting. I really think it is interesting. Yeah, cat wouldn't suck if they left a little cash behind. Not alien, interdimensional. Still love God. Could be interdimensional. I think that's probably more logical, right? Because the distances that these things would have to travel and the speed that they would have to be traveling in order to get here would really be a trick. Also, a real sick, creepy one was the two dudes in California. They took cyanide before police interviewed. Why the hell can't I think of who that is? All right, people, I'm going to go over to our OnlyFeets channel. No, we don't really have an OnlyFans channel. But seriously, it's OnlyFeet. But I am going to go over there and play with my wife because, well, she makes me happy. She really does. And I want to thank Reese for coming on the show. I really dig it when she does. It's I have more fun with that than just about anything. And her questions are so fantastic, especially when I talk about serial killers. It's just nice to have her on here. My mom is legit preparing for the second coming. She thinks she's going to happen anytime now. Food storage, solar panels, bug out bags, the whole nine. Well, I think that's great. You know, if people believe then they believe. I believe we're in the end days. I think that the prophecies in the Bible have been coming true at a really fast clip, right? Things that never seemed like it was a possibility are now falling right into line with biblical prophecy. However, I'm not going to buy a bug out bag. I'm not going to buy extra food or anything like that. Because I don't intend to stick around. I'm going to be leaving with the crew. Lifeboat. It's an old one. They made snuff films, I think, 1960s or 70s. Vietnam guys, maybe, or just dudes. Interesting. And I'll tell you why that's interesting. Because technically, like if you talk to profilers, they'll say that there really aren't snuff films in the traditional sense of the word. And I don't know what that means. Does it mean that none of these were ever sold? But that's one of those things that very much like gerbils up the ass, that there's never been a reported police case of a gerbil in somebody's rectum. There's never been a reported one at a hospital that can be verified. It's one of those things that everybody talks about now to the point where it's almost urban legend, but whether or not it's true is really something else. Alicia, thank you so much. It's a very kind thing to say. I'm always happy when you are here. They would trap their neighbors and stuff like that. It's one of the worst ones, but not that heard of. Interesting. Well, I will look that up, Animal Mother. I promise you I will look that up. And now, officially, I really am going to go play with my wife. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, keep the Guthrie family in your prayers, and for the family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I know that they're going through hell as well right now. And I really appreciate you spending time with me. When this is over, get into the comment section. Tell me what serial killers you want us to do for the next week. And I promise you that's going to be the best way you possibly can of having me cover the ones that you really want to hear about, because I've probably read a book on every serial killer out there, so it's fun to just sort of brush up on the Shakespeare, so to speak. But I do love hanging out with you and talking about this stuff, and I think that one of the reasons we do it is because it makes us a smarter true crime audience. The more you sort of know of true crime, the better off we are, especially when we have discussions and we can say, well, it's very similar to this particular killer or this particular killer. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, put a little love in your heart and do me a favor, smack the like button on the way out of here, and then stop by Chase the Heat. That is the Johnny Scoville, and go over there and check out that woman. That is Relatable Reese. She will make you laugh, and she's getting really good at connecting dots and doing things that just downright impress me. My wife is a very, very intelligent woman. All right, people, I'm Tommy. I will see you on the next one. God bless, and have a good night. Bye-bye.